Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be reading, guys, the rest of chapter 2, and then we're moving on to chapter 3. Okay, let's not waste any more time and let's get started. My dear, I apologize. I have not even introduced myself. My name is Will Banks, and it's much too cold to stand out here. Your toes must be numb, even in those boots. Come inside and I'll make us each a cup of tea, and I'll let you how I know your name. I briefly envisioned myself telling my mother, so then I went to this house, and I briefly envisioned my mother saying, You went in this house? He saw me hesitate and smiled. Meg, he said, I'm 70 years old, thoroughly harmless even to a beautiful young girl like you. Come on in and keep me company for a bit and get warm. I laughed because he knew what I was thinking, and very few people ever know what I'm thinking. Then I went in his house. What a surprise. It was a tiny house and very old and looked on the outside as if it might fall down any minute. For that matter, his truck was also very old and looked as if it might fall down any minute. And Mr. Banks himself was old, although he didn't appear to be falling apart. But inside the house was beautiful. Everything was perfect, as if it were a house I'd imagined or dreamed up with a set of paints. There were only 2 rooms on the first floor. On one side of the little front hall was the living room. The walls were painted white, and there was an oriental rug on the floor. All shades of blues and reds. A big fireplace with a painting that was a real painting, not a print, hanging over the mantel. A pewter pitcher standing on a polished table. A large chest of drawers with bright brass handles. A wing chair that was all done in needlepoint. Sometimes. All done by hand, I could tell, because my mother does needlepoint sometimes. Okay, I'm back. A big fireplace with a painting that was a real painting, not a print. I read that. A chest of drawers with brass handles. I read that too. Sunlight was pouring in the little windows through the white curtains, making patterns on the rug and chairs. Okay, I'm back again. Okay. Sunlight was pouring in the little windows through the white curtains, making patterns on the rug and chairs. On the other side of the hall was the kitchen. That's where Mr. Banks and I went. After he had shown me the living room, a wood stove was burning in the kitchen, and a copper kettle sat on top of it, steaming. A pine table was laid with woven blue mats, and in the center of it, a blue and white bowl held 3 apples like a still life. Everything was scrubbed and shiny and in the right place. It made me think of a song that we sang in kindergarten. When we sat at our desks and folded our hands, we were all in our places with bright, shiny faces, and we used to sing. I could hear the words in my mind, the little voices of all those 5-year-olds, and it was a good memory. Mr. Banks' house was like that. A house warm with memories of things in their places and smiling. He took my jacket and hung it up with his, and poured tea into 2 thick pottery mugs. We sat at the table in pine chairs, that gleamed almost yellow from a combination of old wood, polish, and sunlight. Is yours the little room at the top of the stairs? He asked me. How did he know about the little room? No, I explained. I wanted to be me. Sorry. It's so perfect. You can see the other house across the field, you know? He nodded. He knew. But my father needed that room. He's writing a book, so my sister and I have the big room together. The little room was mine, he said. When I was a small boy, sometime when your father isn't working there, go in and look in the closet. On the closet floor, you'll find my name carved. If no one's refinished the floor, my mother spanked me for doing it. I was 8 years old at the time, and I'd been shut in my room for being rude to my older sister. You lived in my house. I asked. Yeah. Sorry, I'm surprised. He laughed again. My dear Meg, he said, you live in my house. My grandfather built that house. Actually, he built the one across the field first. Then he built the other one, where you live. In those days, families stuck together, of course, and he built the second house for his sister, who never married. Later, he gave it to his oldest son, my father. And my sister and I were both born there. It became my house when I married Margaret. I took her there to live when she was a bride. 18 years old. My sister had married and moved to Boston. She's dead now. My parents, of course, are gone, and Margaret and I never had children, so there's no one left but me. Well, that's not entirely true. There's my sister's son, but that's another story. Anyway, there's no one left here on the land but me. There were times when I was young, when Margaret was with me, when I was tempted to leave to take a job in the city, to make a lot of money, but he lit his pipe. Was quiet for a minute, looking into the past. Well, it was my grandfather's land, and my father's before it was mine. Not many people understand that today, what that means, but I know this land. I know every rock, every tree. I couldn't leave them behind. This house used to be the hired man's cottage. I fixed it up some, and it's a good little house. But the other two houses are still mine. When the taxes went up, I just couldn't afford to keep them going. I moved here after Margaret died, and I've rented the family houses. Sorry. Whenever I came across someone who has reason to want to live in the wilderness. When I heard your parents were looking for a place, I offered the little house to them. It's a perfect place for a writer. The solitude stimulates imagination, I think. Other people come now and then thinking it might be a cheap place to live. Wait, is there? Yeah. But I won't rent to just anyone. That's why the big house is empty now. The right family hasn't come along. Do you get lonely here? He finished his tea and set the cup down on the table. No, I've been here all my life. I miss my Margaret, of course. But I have Pip. The dog looked at his name and thumped his tail against the floor. And I do some carpentry in the village, and now and then, when people need me, I have books. That's all I need, really. Of course, he smiled. It's nice to have a new friend like you, Mr. Banks. Oh, please, call me Will, the way all my friends do. Will, then, would you mind if I took your picture? My dear, he said, straightening his shoulders and buttoning the top of his plaid shirt. I was honored. The light was coming in through the kitchen window onto his face, soft right now. It had become late afternoon when all the harsh shadows are gone. He sat right there, smoked his pipe, and talked, and I finished the full roll of film, just shooting quickly as he gestured and smiled. All those times when I feel awkward and inept. All those times are made up for when I have my camera. When I can look through the viewfinder and feel that I can control the focus and the light and the composition, when I can capture what I see in a way that no one else is seeing it. I felt that way while I was taking Will's picture. I unloaded the exposed film and carried it home in my pocket like a secret. When I looked back from the road, Will was by his truck again, waving to me. Tip was back by his snowbank, thumping his tail, and way deep inside me, somewhere was something else that kept me warm on the walk home, even though the sun was going down and the wind was coming over the piles of snow on either side of the road, blowing stinging powder into my eyes. It was the fact that Will Banks had called me beautiful. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching it. Hope you enjoyed, and please watch more of my videos. Bye.